Reach for the stars. Rhode Island's 2022 Statewide Self-Advocacy Conference. Some different ways to get around. Presented by Vincent DeJesus and LeClaire and Andrew Whalen.
Can we ask everyone to mute unless you're going to ask a question?
I think you're going to need me to speak, so I'll stay unmuted at this time.
So welcome to Getting Around Rhode Island.
Testing, 1, 2, testing. Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
Very good. Hello, my name is Andrew Whalen, and I'm one of the presenters here today.
And I'm Anne LeClaire. I'm another presenter.
And I am Vincent DeJesus. I'll be another presenter on today's topic of transportation.
So we're going to be talking about a few different types of transportation. RIPTA has 3 types. RIPTA has fixed route buses, flex service, and the ride program. And we'll also be talking about ride sharing or on-demand services, like Uber and Lyft.
The buses differ in various ways. They're wheelchair accessible. The fixed route buses, which is the first bus on all the way on your left. It's a the front of the bus will flip down, so a ramp will come down. So if you're in a wheelchair, you just can pop right on. Then there's the RIPTA flex service, and those are the second buses in. Those run on a certain route, and we'll discuss it more. And then there's the ride programs, and they have a few different buses, but these are that's an example of their vans, which are also wheelchair accessible.
It has some vehicles that look like the flex ones, and then they have some of these smaller ones.
Yes. RIPTA has vans that look like the flex ones, mainly, more of them. There's many forms of transportation to the state, like if you're in this case, the picture you're seeing shows the fixed route buses, and they pretty much run statewide. There's some areas that, depending on the location, the service might be a little bit different, but there's express lines buses with park and rides available in 27 towns. That green bus, that's called the R line. It's rapid, so that's express, I guess, because it does run frequently, but it runs along through a lot of the state, Downtown Providence is served by 58 bus lines, providing direct services into downtown from throughout the state. And for the RIPTA schedule, you would go to www.ripta.com and get schedules of, they have the schedules of all the buses, or you can go down and get a hard copy at the office. Their number is 781-9400, and RIPTA is Rhode Island's only public transit service provider. And as a longtime user of RIPTA and Ride, I feel more people with disabilities should be using RIPTA. It helped accomplish more goals throughout the day. That's what I use them for, like to go grocery shopping, then go get my medication, then go maybe meet a friend, various things of the tasks of daily living.
So on the bottom left here, this is a RIPTA bus stop sign. So you can just wait at a bus stop and wait for the bus to come. They don't stop at places that don't have the bus stop sign. In this bottom middle picture, it has a bus with the ramp deployed that Vinny was talking about on the previous slide. So you don't have to use a wheelchair to ask for the ramp. They can put it out for people who walk as well if you have difficulty climbing on. In the front on this one, on the green bus, you can see a bike. So it does have bike racks on the front of the bus. It can hold 2 bikes. And this top picture shows the inside of a bus. So the buses with the ramps, you can see you can kind of see back here that there are stairs in the back of the bus. So the back is higher than the front. And you can't see, but in front of these chairs in the front, there would be a place for wheelchairs to be secured. And some of the seats can pop up to make more room. But if you need help figuring out a schedule or how to get where you want to go, you can call the information number that Vinny said, and they'll help walk you through when to take the bus or where to find it. RIPTA Flex service uses smaller buses, so you can see in the picture. It operates in 6 areas of the state, and it stays in the area. It doesn't have a fixed route like the regular buses. It has an area it operates in. It can go a different way every time or every day, so it doesn't go the same way all the time. Most of the zones do have a few bus stops where you can wait, but it doesn't come by as often as the fixed route bus would. It might only go to one of the stops 3 or 4 times a day. In most areas, it operates a lot like the ride program, where you call in advance to make a reservation. And fares for Flex are the same as RIPTA's fixed route bus service. So we used to call it a bus stop at the end of your driveway or in your neighborhood, because it'll go into neighborhoods to pick people up. The areas where there are Flex service in the state are down at URI, around the URI campus, and in Narragansett and parts of Narragansett and South Kingstown. There's one that operates in Westerly, one that is called the South Aquidneck. It operates in Newport in Middletown on Aquidneck Island. Another one operates in parts of West Warwick and Coventry. Then there's one in the north in Woonsocket and the Manville area. It covers all of Woonsocket, actually. And then one that goes out to Pasco and Slatersville up in Burrowville.
This is a picture of one of the ride vans. They're similar to the Flex, but a little bit different. Of course, this is a service required by the Americans with Disabilities Act. DDH also uses the ride program. Basically, there's a few things that you would need to initiate your availability for it, like proof of your disability. So some paperwork. Basically, how it works is you call 24 hours before, or you can set it up as a standing order. Like if you're always gonna go there at this time, you say, you have it set up as a standing order. There are some like holidays and stuff where you will have to call to remake the ride, because some places mainly close, most places close, and so ride takes that into account, because a lot of people, their jobs will close. So yes, this provides regular transportation for passengers whose disabilities prevent them from being able to use a fixed route bus. Reservations are required, and it does drop you off curb to curb transportation. Fares are twice the fixed route price. So right now, fare is $4, and you can pay with cash, or you can buy what they call RIP tickets, and you buy them at usually CV, not CV, Stop and Shop and Shaw's. Like, they'll sell them in the office, and you can buy a book of them, and that way you just keep them in your wallet, and you hand the driver one every time you step on the bus. You got to pay for the ride, and so and it is convenient because you set it up before, and as long as where you want to go is 3/4 off of a fixed route line, which is one of the big buses, then they'll take you and they'll drop you right off the door, or they'll pick you up right at the door. It's very convenient, especially for work. For doctor appointments, it does help too. I find it's kind of difficult because, I mean, doctors have their schedule, and so you got to kind of guesstimate that stuff for that. Or you can use the fixed route. Like, that's what I tend to do. Like, I'll have a ride take me and drop me off, and then sometimes I can make it to the fixed route bus stop, and I'll use that to go, and that way, I don't request a ride and have to miss it, and, put them out because they scheduled the ride. Okay, and for BHDDH, the trips are only approved for purpose related to the plan goals. Trips must be approved by BHDDH before a reservation can be made. Door-to-door service, and there's no fare. What were you gonna say, Ann?
I was gonna say, on the ride vehicles, you can see that on the side that they're different from the fixed route ones. They have stairs in the front.
Yeah.
And the doors, the second set of doors that you can see there, that's the lift. So in this case, they have a lift that comes out, lowers down to the ground, and then lifts up. They don't have a ramp. So it takes a little bit longer to get on one of these vehicles that you might want to consider when making reservations.
Yes.
The ramps are faster. And the flex ones are the same. They have a lift and not a ramp. People who use a walker or who walk and can't do the stairs can also use the lift.
I find the ramps are better, more like reliable, because if they don't work, they're easy to manually do it.
Yeah, unfortunately, there aren't too many smaller vehicles that have the ramps yet. Hopefully the companies that make vehicles will start using ramps more, but they're still tough to get. Vinny had talked about the fares already. So the fixed route and flex are $2. The ride program for the ADA service is $4. For the BHDDH service, there's no fare. For those who may have used public transit but haven't in a while on RIPTA, they've changed their fare product. So they have a new wave card, is what they call it. The fare boxes used to give out cards. If you paid the $2 fare with a $10 bill, you'd get a card back that was good for $8. So you could keep using it like a paper pass that fed into the fare box. They don't have that anymore. So it's just exact cash or the new wave card. And you can get the card, you can do it on your phone as well. They still have the photo ID bus passes for people with disabilities or seniors, but they are the wave card just with a picture ID. So they've changed those a little bit too. Before we move on to the ride sharing, does anyone have any questions about RIPTA? Christian?
I just want to know, will I be able to get the information so I can share with my caseworker tomorrow?
On the transportation options?
Yes.
We can share this presentation if you want. I know they're going to post it, but we can email it to you directly.
That would be an honor so I can share with my caseworker tomorrow.
Okay.
Thank you.
Joseph?
I got a question about that. When you and Vince will bring up things, did you guys say that the ride could take you anywhere, especially if you gotta go to work?
The ride program, there's some talk. People would like the ride program to go everywhere in the state. Right now, it doesn't go everywhere. It goes where the fixed route operates. The Americans with Disabilities Act told states that if you operate public transit service, for people who can't use the public transit service due to disability, you need to give them what they call complementary paratransit service, which means complementary meaning it's the same or equivalent. So it operates in the same areas and at the same time as the fixed route system. The 3/4 of a mile corridor that Vinny mentioned is around the fixed routes. So almost wherever there's a fixed route, there's an ADA corridor. The one exception is around the highway. So 95, because the bus can't stop on the highway to pick up passengers, it's not considered part of the fixed route. So there's no ADA service around it. So where the park and ride bus might go from Westerly to Providence, there's a good chunk of the highway that has no other roads around it. So there's no ADA service around the highway. So it is limited. It goes anywhere the fixed route bus goes, but not anywhere in the state. And if there's no fixed route service in an area on Sunday, for example, then there won't be any ADA service around that route on a Sunday. So it's equivalent to what the fixed route has in an area. But there is some talk, people are pushing that we should have more transportation everywhere in the state. So we'll see if the state winds up funding that, but right now it is limited just to the corridor. The BHDDH service is limited to that area as well. So people are in more rural areas, there are fewer options. But if you want to go to work and you live or can get into the corridor, you don't actually have to live in the corridor as long as you're picked up within it. So if you live a couple of blocks over from where the corridor stops, if you can get a couple of blocks over, they'll pick you up there, and they'll drop you off at work, the same thing.
How long does a Wave bus pass go for? Like years?
The photo ID one?
Yeah, the newest one. How many
Photo
years?
ID one is good for 2 years.
2 years?
The general the one everybody uses that you have to load money on it yourself, those, they don't expire. You just have to keep loading money on it.
All right.
But the photo ID ones, they cost $10 and they're good for 2 years, unlimited rides with no fare. But you have to qualify, as Vinny said. So I'll turn it over to Andrew to talk about ride sharing.
Before you do that, Leah and Steve had their hand up.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't see it.
I was just wondering if either of you guys have used the phone app to ride the bus.
Vinny, do you use the app for the ride program?
I do, but it stopped working.
I see that it has a lot of bad reviews.
Yeah, if you have to, I mean, you can do this same thing about, like, if you call, they have an automated phone thing. So you basically can call in and then you punch in your code and you get the information. That's usually how I'll do it now, because I mean, it stopped, my app stopped working. So I deleted it and then I restarted it and then I put in all my information and it still wouldn't work.
Huh.
And
I'll have to let Ripta know that. Is that just the one for ride?
Yeah, just for the ride app.
Because they do, I know they have a fixed route app as well. Does the ride program still make the automated calls out to remind people about trips?
Yes, they do. At 5 o'clock the night before. Oh no, is it 6 actually?
The evening before, they won't make the calls too late. I think they stop at 8 o'clock, maybe 9 o'clock. They'll have an automated system like some doctor's offices have to call and remind you that you have a trip scheduled.
And I do use apps for the fixed route. I mean, the fixed route does, like, if you're going somewhere that you've never been before, you can use Google Maps to map it out, because Ripto links into Google Maps. So you can choose the option of, you're going to be using the bus, and it'll show you, catch the bus here, take this bus to go there, and then you'll catch this bus to go there, and it'll just tell you.
And
Awesome.
sometimes it tells you you have to walk between this spot and this spot.
Yeah. You have to walk from
Buses.
you have to walk from here to there to get the other bus, and it'll give you an estimated time, like 4 minutes or whatever.
Yeah, a lot of places have that. Rhode Island has that, where you can go into Google, and where they ask for driving instructions, you can change it to the bus and it'll give you the bus instructions. So if you're traveling, a lot of places have that built into Google Maps now, where you can look at the public transit and get the public transit instructions.
I tend to use that one, and I also use this app. It's called Transit. It just gives you an estimate about when the bus is coming, and it shows like what buses are around you. Like, I have used it before one time when I got out of work early, so I canceled my ride. I figured, I used the bus, and I opened that up to see what bus stops are close by, and then what bus number goes to that bus stop, and then found out that I went to the schedule and found out what time and everything, and I ended up using the bus that way. So it gives you information about what's close by.
Thank you.
Vinny, that reminded me of something we didn't cover on the ride program. The ride bus is shared, so it might pick up other people, which means it's not like a taxi. So it may not go directly from where you get picked up to drop you off. It may go different ways, but they're not supposed to get you to where you want to go late. So if you're going to work and you're getting there late, you can call and complain, but they might get you there on the flip side very early. So you could get to work half an hour early, depending on how the schedule is going or something, but they are supposed to try to get you there before rather than late. But when you're leaving work, they're not supposed to come early and expect you to leave early. They should be picking you up after your work time ends, or if you're going to a meeting or an event, it should be after the time you've requested. But you want to add a few minutes when you make your request. So if you get out of work at 4 o'clock, you may want to ask them to pick you up at 4:15, so you have time to get outside and they're not coming early. So they shouldn't be coming at 3:45 then, or if they do, they need to wait for you because your time is 4:15. So you have a right to ask them, and if they're coming early or late and getting you late to work late or coming too early, you should call the office and let them know that I need to be at work until this time. You can't come early. Sometimes the driver comes early because they don't have another pickup, but it doesn't mean you have to run out. They'll wait for you. So let's turn it over to Andrew to talk about the ride sharing now.
All right, thank you, Anne. But before I go into the ride sharing, I just wanted to add one more thing about the ride program. Ride will sometimes contract out to some of the local taxi services, just so that you know, in case a taxi cab shows up instead of the ride van you were expecting. Now, to ride sharing, request a ride, hop in and go. A ride sharing company, i.e. Uber or Lyft, uses websites and mobile apps to match passengers with drivers of vehicles for hire. Ride sharing prices, these can change when more people want rides, i.e. at rush hour when there are more people on the roads. The app will tell you the price of the trip, and you can lower the cost if you share the ride with other people. Here are 5 options for Ubers. First is Uberx, which are basically just the everyday affordable ride you can get from Uber, get from point A to point B easily enough. Comfort are newer cars with extra legroom, and I think both of these two seat just about 1 to 4 passengers. Uber XL, which I think the XL most likely stands for extra large, are affordable rides for groups up to 6, so that this seats from 1 to 6 people. Uber Green, which is seats 1 to 4, is for eco-friendly. You get probably more cars like electric or hybrids with that one. And then you've got Uber Pet, and I think this is exclusively rides that you can take if you want to bring your pet along. Let's say if you need to go to the vet, or if you just want to take them to a dog park that you can't readily get to by walking or something like that. How to use Uber. First of all, you need to create an account. And what you need to do that is an email address, a phone number, and a credit card. The email provides a means of contact between you and Uber, as does the phone number. And the credit card is a means of payment. Not to mention your email will double as your username on Uber. The next step, once you got your account all set up and your credit card information is into the app, you open the app and you enter where you're going in the where to box. I will stop here for just a minute to tell you that the where to box can remember destinations you have been to in the past. Once you know where you want to go, you tap to confirm your pickup location when it asks you to. Tap confirm again to be matched to a driver nearby. I will stop here again to tell you that during the days of the really high pandemic, Uber would often ask you to confirm whether you were wearing a mask or not, and I suspect Lyft did something similar. Next, meet your driver. You can track your driver's arrival time and destination time and location on a map. When they're a few minutes away, you should wait for them at the location you specified for pickup. Also, check your ride. Every time you take a trip with Uber, make sure you're getting into the right car with the right driver by matching the license plate, car make, and model and driver photo with what's provided in your app. Safety tip, never get in a car where the vehicle or driver identity doesn't match what's displayed in your app. Next, sit back and relax. When you arrive, payment is easy. You use a method like a credit card or an Uber cash balance. I don't think they let you use cash with Uber. Rate your trip. You can also give your driver a compliment and or add a tip. It's nice to tip your driver and give him 5 stars because it will make him want to come back and pick you up if you get picked up in the same place repeatedly.
Andrew, do drivers rate passengers?
Yes, they do. Drivers will almost certainly rate passengers. And I think the better the rating you can get from a driver, which you probably won't know what that is. I think only the driver in Uber knows what that is. But at any rate, if you're picked up repeatedly and you get good ratings repeatedly, drivers will probably be more apt to pick you up. That is, more willing to pick you up. And now we move on to Lyft. Here are the Lyft options. Wait and Save is budget friendly, and I think you've got the private icon, which I think is present for all of these. You got the general Lyft, which is efficient, the priority pickup, which is efficient, preferred mode, which provides roomier cars, Lyft XL gives you extra seats for more people, and Lyft Lux, I think this is an option to pick if you're looking to get a ride to wherever you're going in a luxury car. How to use Lyft. Request a ride on the app. Once more, you have to download the Lyft app and create an account. Tap Search Destination and enter your drop-off location. Select your preferred ride type. Tap Select Lyft, and 5, confirm or change your pickup location before tapping Confirm and Request. And you can also request a ride on either of their websites. Uber and Lyft accessibility initiatives. Uber Assist, Uber Wave. Uber is beginning to develop accessible options. Uber Assist uses drivers who are trained to help riders get into and out of the vehicle, and Uber Wave can accommodate folding wheelchairs. This isn't available yet in Rhode Island, unfortunately. Lyft Great Calls, Jitterbug. Lyft is partnering with senior housing operators to offer ride-hailing services that don't require a smartphone or credit card information. Charges are added to residents' monthly bills. Lyft also is testing a service that lets seniors request a ride to their Jitterbug cell phones, and this is not yet available in Rhode Island either.
We wanted to highlight these even though they're not available in Rhode Island, so people know that Uber and Lyft are trying things to make their services more accessible. And if you want to advocate, if you do use either service or both, if you want to advocate with them that they should bring it to Rhode Island so you know that it exists.
Accessible taxi services. There are 4 in Rhode Island. The first is Corporate Taxi, whose number is 401-231-2228, and its services are available statewide including at the airport. Next, you've got Economy Cab, whose phone number is 401-944-6700, and its services are available exclusively in Cranston, Johnston, and Providence. Next, you've got Orange Cab, whose number is 401-841-0030, and its services are available only in Jamestown, Middletown, Newport, Portsmouth, and Tiverton. And finally, there's Valley Cab, whose number is 401-762-5000, and it is only available in northeastern Rhode Island, that is the towns of Cumberland, Lincoln, North Smithfield, and Woonsocket.
If you're calling for a cab, you just have to tell them that you're calling for one of their accessible taxis, so they know to send it.
They do ask that you, if you're gonna need the accessible taxi, they want you to let them know like beforehand. That way they can make sure it's not being used. They can, make sure it's available.
The last thing is that the state is doing a transportation survey. It's basically a survey about publicly funded transportation services in our state. RIPTA, Fixed Route, and Flex Bus, the RIDE program, non-emergency medical, NEMT, and elderly transportation program, ETP, which are currently provided by MTM, local van services provided by cities and towns, and Rhode Island's commuter rail and train service. The survey is open to everyone, and if you don't use any of these transportation options, you can still take the survey. Tell them why the options don't work for you. And the survey link is on this page as well. It is https://tinyurl.com/hstccs/urvey.
So we want to encourage everyone to take the transportation survey and to tell everyone you know to take it. This is a statewide survey. It's not just for people who are getting BHDDH services or any other services. RIPTA is promoting it, Veterans Affairs, DHS, AAA. So it's for everybody. We want to know what anyone who lives in Rhode Island thinks about the publicly funded transportation options. So please promote it. It'll be in the next newsletter that comes out too. If you get the DD newsletter and want to share it with people, you can share it with everybody. Kelly?
This is probably a silly question, but are Lyft and Uber considered ride-sharing apps?
Yes, I think they are.
Thanks for watching. Visit our website at the link below to view this recording again, watch and listen to the PowerPoint that was shared, and download a PDF file of the presentation, which includes additional speakers' notes about this topic. While you're there, you'll also find links to the information the presenters mentioned in their session, and other resources about public transportation options in Rhode Island. Some different ways to get around. www.advocatesinaction.org/2022 breakout 1-1. Produced by Advocates in Action Rhode Island. Copyright 2022.